Hey YouTubers, it's Megan, and some of you guys might already know that I do princess parties and character entertainment. What some of you guys might not know is that I actually make most of my costumes myself. So I'm a cosplayer and I'm really into that, and some of you guys might also be as well. So the costume that I'm working on right now is a generic version of Snow White's prince, and obviously it's not for myself, but it's always more fun when the prince can go with the princess. So I am sort of putting together my collection of prince characters as well. So this is the tunic part of the costume, and it's not finished yet, so it might not look like much, but you can sort of get the general idea. I'm also going to put some trim on it to just really make it stand out. So one thing that I took into account when I was making this costume initially, when I was going to the store to get everything for it, is the fabric that I used. And if you are a cosplayer like I am, or even if you're just wanting to make your own costume or even your own clothing, I would highly recommend to invest in good quality fabric for your project, because obviously the construction of the costume is going to be the most important thing, but besides that, I would say that the fabric that you use is definitely, it should be on the top of your priority list, because you can have a very, very beautifully sewn together costume, but if it's made out of cheap fabric, then it's just not going to look good, and it's also not going to last as long. So even though it might initially make your costume a little more expensive, I would definitely recommend, if you can, to invest in some high quality fabric, because it's going to look so much better and it's going to last longer. So this, for example, I could have probably made out of like a cheap blue cotton fabric, but that's not going to look very nice. It would be good for, say, like a Halloween party, but for what I make my costumes for, it's not going to cut it. So I went with this fabric, which was a little more expensive, but you can hopefully see, obviously, like, you can't see all of the detail in this video, but you can see that there's like a little bit of a texture to it, and it's just overall a nicer fabric. And texture can also add a lot to the look of your project, especially if you're working on a costume that's going to be used for a stage production. Texture reads really well from stage, like, and even this behind me, it's got some texture and some shine to it, and so it just looks a little bit better. You also want to take into account what different types of fabrics work well for your particular project. Just because it looks good doesn't mean that it's going to work well. And there are specific types of fabric that are meant to be used for specific types of projects. And if you're unsure and you're working with a pattern, it will usually tell you. So, like, for example, on this pattern, at the very top, it says fabrics, and then it goes through every single thing that this pattern has and what works the best, like what type of fabric works best for that particular thing within the pattern. So if you're unsure, look at that, and then when you go to the fabric store, you already know kind of what to look for. And if you don't know and you're confused at the fabric store, then the people that work there, they're usually very friendly and very knowledgeable about different types of fabrics and different types of projects. And so you can usually ask them, and they're usually happy to help you. So good luck with your project, and happy sewing, and I will let you know when my project is complete.